Yeah, and I definitely want to chat about that. I love how you guys met, and I want you guys to tell the story. But growing up, I always have a growing up section of the podcast, and this y'all's story is a little bit different when it comes to growing up. Adam is from Tyler, Texas, which a lot of our Eastern Texas listeners will be very familiar with, and Chris is from St. Catharines in Northern Ontario.
Southern, but yeah,
Is it
yeah.
Southern
Right.
Ontario? Okay.
Sort of. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to jump right in on that.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick funny thing about that, just
Sure.
so that we can my weird interruption. When I first got to Texas to see Adam play, I think you were, I don't know, you were playing in Mathis, Texas. There's the biker bar kind of on the side of the farm to market road, and this big old cowboy was in there, and he said, "Where are you from in Canada?" I said, "Southern Ontario." He goes, "Southern what? There ain't nothing southern about where you're from, girl."
Right.
As last time I described southern, because I'm near Niagara Falls, and that's where I grew up, like south of Toronto.
Okay.
And so northern Canadians, they're north.
Yeah, they're off the grid people, right? Like very
They're
off the
they're
grid.
pretty northern. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty tough. They make fun of us. Like we can't, we're not even Canadian to them.
Yeah. It's funny. We just had a songwriter from Quebec on the show, and he's in Nashville now. But his family kind of split. He grew up in Quebec, but he also spent a lot of time in Hartford, Connecticut. And I said, so Hartford is pretty south to you, but it's pretty north for us.
That's right. Exactly. It's
Yeah,
all relative, right?
exactly. I love that. And I mean, you guys ended up meeting in Canada too, right?
We sure
We
did.
did. Yeah, we met at a friend of ours named Roger Marin has a festival or had a festival. I guess he's not really doing it anymore, but in St. Catharines and across the street from Chris's family home, and she was playing a gig there, and I was playing a gig there, and we just sort of ran into each other up there, and actually we were playing on the same slot. I was
I opened for you.
she was playing first, and then I came on, but it was like one of those deals where they shuffle people on and off pretty quick. And I had actually been to this festival a couple times, and I think I think it was Chris. It was your first time there, and but uh, we just hung out, and you know I
I tried to
I
feed you grapes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
Wow.
yep,
Like,
yep, 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 yep.
not like this. Like I just offered him some grapes.
Yeah.
It wasn't crazy.
Not quite
He
that
played.
forward then, huh?
Not right, not yeah. I didn't come on that strong. Found out later he didn't really like grapes very much, but then later on, I think
They've grown on me.
yeah, there you go.
It's pretty hot
It
in
was hot there
St. Catharines
that
in
time.
July too.
It
Yeah.
was end of July too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
humid, very
And
humid.
Chris, you already knew who he was at that point, right?
You know what? I didn't. And
Okay.
for me that night and that day, O'Connor played as well,
Okay.
Michael. And I'd heard Roger Marin. I heard there was a fella, Jesse T. Reed, back home would play a song by Adam Carroll, and he would say, and he was very shy already, just how his countenance was. So you really didn't get. He would say maybe this is a song by Adam Carroll, and then play it. So I just thought it was. I didn't hear that beginning. I just thought, well, that guy's a great songwriter, because he was so quiet the way he didn't wasn't trying to hide that it wasn't his song, but he was just shy about it. And so I'd heard the girl with the dirty hair. I'd never met the writer. I didn't know. I wasn't clued in yet.
Yeah.
I was about to preview the best songwriting I'd seen live in ever. In my right there in front of me. And that's what happened for me. He played Old Milwaukee's Best, and I almost fell off the picnic table I was sitting on. I was laughing so hard. And then he played Rice Birds and just demoed me. It was just so beautiful. And between him and Michael playing together, I think he played guitar with you, I think, didn't he a bit? And anyway, it was just captivating to me because, I know we'll talk about our influences, but it was like Prine,
Yeah.
catching a bit of Prine right in front of my face, and he was adorable.
And that, I
So,
mean, Prine is a major influence for both of y'all's music. But I gotta know, like, in southern Canada, how are you being influenced by John Prine? How does that permeate your existence?
It was my dad. I think a lot of what happened is a lot of our kind of baby boomer dads, people, mums and dads, were listening to Prine. They caught a hold of him in the late 70s, early 80s, and were passing around that CD or something. And my dad got a hold of it and played it on repeat in our home. We had what's Prine? Is it the one with the haystack?
Prime.
Prine,
That
right?
was the one that had his 3 or 4 first albums on it.
Yeah. And my father would have me singing Sam Stone, and he's gonna kill me. But I mean, he was a single dad. He had 3 kids, and we'd go camping. We'd be in the van, and I'd be singing about, Sam Stone when I was a little girl.
Wow.
And I'm so glad he did. I'm so glad he was playing that. It was a big mix of stuff at home.
So you already knew how to recognize great songwriting at a young age, then.
Well, and I think, growing, we have Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, and I mean, you can add the Bare Naked Ladies, and I mean, Joan Osborne. I don't know how many others you
Mm-hmm.
might not even know about. The Tragically Hip. I mean, they were all putting out music and Canadians, we love stories and songs.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening to you guys too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I love songwriting. It's not the same back home. It wasn't the same as revered as it is in Texas, I think, as a culture.
Right.
But it was definitely, it was around me.
And what about you,
But
Adam? Like, what was your
Mhm.
first kind of like exposure to music? Like, what are your first musical memories?
My mom would, as far as just in general, I guess my mom taught me music and stuff when I was a little boy. Just she's real musical, and her side of the family is real musical, and so she used to, you know, she said, I don't really remember specifically. She said she would teach me. I could sing chords. Uh, you know, she would have me teach me chords and stuff. And I could sing them by ear. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really. I wished I had applied myself more because I didn't. I didn't the choir and stuff and all that. I didn't take. Really didn't take. I rebelled against it, and but I um, as far as you know, yeah, songwriters and stuff. I would, John Prine was the first one that I saw live that I couldn't believe. Um, I think I saw him live like 3 times in my life, and it's kind of similar to Chris. My dad had his. He had I don't know if Ted had Prime, but that was one my dad
No, we
had,
had that. That
and
was
that
the
and I thought it was like his great. It was a compilation, and but I listened to that. My dad had gave me his vinyl and all and his record player and stuff, and I listened to that Prime. This is when I was in college. Um, but and um, I think I just like I couldn't believe. I'm trying to think right now, Chris. If there's if there was another time, if there was other stuff before Prime. I mean, I definitely, I definitely, I think we both claim
Neil
Neil
Young. Yeah, I
Young as a.
got you.
I mean, I remember, getting into that, and just classic rock stuff,
And
but
Neil
I
Young's
mean,
somebody that you kind of happened upon in college too, right? North Carolina.
yeah, I was, I think I went up to a boarding school in North Carolina, and a lot of the kids up there, and there weren't very many of them at that place, but there was a lot of kids knew like the kind of jam bands that I had never heard of, except for my cousin had knew about them, but I didn't like Fish and that kind of those kind of. I didn't know anything about that until I went up there, and then
Mm-hmm.
and but really I think coming home from that and discovering Prine for me was just like he was singing my life, and and because the other concerts I'd been to were were like classic rock bands and like Guns N' Roses and stuff. And I remember seeing them live and having their records, and it just wasn't the same, you know. But then listening to Prine, I just thought this is this magical character that can't even be. And this is from years ago, you know, and you know when I wasn't even born really. So this can't be the same. And when the guy got up there, it was like he just everything I imagined he could be, he was, you know, at that point in time. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, and I just immediately then I just wanted to be a part of, you know, that kind of a, you know, deal.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's that kind of music and that kind of storytelling that kind of reaches into your soul, man. Like that's why I'm such a big fan of solo, like acoustic stuff, almost, you know, almost unplugged, unproduced kind of music, man.